Welcome to today's Shaman Short. Great tips, inspiration, and ways to live a more authentic and shamanic life. Join Dakota Walker from Gaia Wisdom School as she treks across the globe, bringing you these bite-sized pieces of wisdom for you to deepen your path back home to your soul. And now, from somewhere in the world, here's Dakota.
Well, hello. Thank you for joining me today. I am here in Escalante, Grand Staircase National Monument in Utah. What a beautiful place. This is just gorgeous. And today's Shaman Short is about meditating where you are. Oh, that feels good. Just imagine that for a second. Nice, cool breeze. Well, not really that cool, but okay. Let it calm down just a little bit so you can hear me. Anyway, last week I was in Bryce Canyon and I was sitting on the edge of the rim overlooking this just magnificent, beautiful view. And I was meditating, and you know, there's hordes of people around me. And I was telling this to a friend of mine, and she says, how do you do that? How do you just like go into a meditation without, you know, using a guided meditation or etc. And because I was explaining to her what I was actually doing in my meditation, I was flying and doing all these acrobatics in the air and stuff like that. And so I was doing that here too. And I thought, you know, this would be kind of a good shaman short to share with you guys about just really being present in a place and being able to use what you have around you as a source of inspiration. I'm going to do a little pan here in a second and show you what I'm looking at. And so one of the first things that I like to do when I'm meditating, just kind of on the fly, is that I like to bring in the elements. So like that air element that just came in, the sun is the fire energy. I've got the earth beneath, you know, I'm sitting on the stone. And I don't have water. Well, I have it in my pack, but actually, you know, water is what kind of formed these mountains. So what I do is I really go inward and I tap into whatever is the predominant element at that moment. Right now it's the sun. It's hot. So I would work with the fire element and maybe go in and see it transforming something in my life that maybe needs to be transformed, or I need to experience a death and a rebirth and maybe burn some energy off or burn some contracts, whatever it might be that I need to do. And then if the wind element comes through, then I might like catch the wind and fly with it and just kind of go over the canyon and see if I can get a different perspective on something, or a different perspective on my life or a situation. I might see a bird. Sometimes I'll meditate with my eyes open and I'll watch the bird and I'll hop on its back and fly with it and feel what it feels like to go through the thermals and the drafts and what it sees and how it feels and how the feathers feel. And then I may also feel myself sink into the earth and become like the rock. Where do I need more solidity in my life? Where do I need to be more grounded? And really feel myself becoming the dirt or the rock or the tree or the plant, going down into the roots, into Mother Earth, and seeing what that feels like, and see how that feels to be hugged by her or embraced. And then I might imagine, you know, here, I might imagine that if there was a storm and water was coming off of the canyon and flowing, where do I need flow in my life? Where do I need to have that cleansing? Where do I need to have that roughness kind of smoothed out? And so I just kind of play with these elements, and really in one meditation, like now the wind's starting to pick up again, I may have started out in the fire element and then shift right into the wind element. And then when that kind of subsides and maybe I'm more, you know, concentrated on the hard surface that I'm sitting on, then that brings my attention down into the earth. So really it's being present. It's really capitalizing on what energy you have with you right at that moment. When I do a pan, you're going to see that there's these beautiful carvings in the stone, and there's lines, and you can see where the waters come down through there, through the canyons. way up high. I don't know if you'll see it on the camera, but there's like a little tiny, it's not really tiny, but from here it looks tiny. It's a little cavern, and there's just all this bird crap coming down off the rocks. So there's a bird that lives up there, or birds, probably a nest of either, I would imagine either turkey vulture, or could be an eagle. I don't think it would be a hawk. But so I might tap into that and kind of fly into that nest and feel what it feels like to have the sticks kind of wrapping around me, and being safe in that little cocoon, but still being able to see everything around me. You know, and there's a lot of juniper trees here, and juniper, actually the Native Americans believe that juniper carries the spirit of the caretaker who takes care of the earth. So I might go into the bark or the tree or the berry, and just kind of become that energy and see what that feels like to care for the earth, to be that spirit. And there's also pine trees, and there's a lot of sage around here, and I might ask for that sage element to come in and purify and smudge and cleanse. Juniper is also really good. It's a highly effective cleanser for getting rid of negative energy, just a little FYI. So when I do these meditations, in the case of Bryce Canyon, I actually use music because there were so many people around. And here, I would definitely not use music because the only thing I can hear right now is me talking in the wind and a few birds. And I want to hear that silence. I want to hear that air element and the little nuances that happen when you get really still and quiet and very present. You can even hear the scurrying of a lizard across the rock, and that's really kind of cool. And then I might, you know, shapeshift into that lizard and feel that heat of the rock and that trudging through the sand. You can see, I love when I'm walking through the desert here, especially when it's sandy, you can see the little footprints of the lizards, but you see the tail that gets kind of dragged behind, and there's like this nice little line in the sand. And so I might imagine that and see where they take me, and they may take me down into a hole in the earth, and that could be a portal and lead me into the lower world. So it's really kind of a rich experience when you can get outside and, you know, not have to use the muse of a guided meditation, but to use Mother Earth as your muse and to use your imagination. And the more that you practice using your imagination, the greater you have that capacity to speak to your spirit guides, because they use your imagination in order to speak to you. And when you start listening to those little inner voices, you begin to recognize the little subtle layers of messages that come, and you'll most often get those too when you just sit in that quiet and you be in that presence. And I always tell people too, it's the first thing that pops to your head. So like if I'm doing this meditation, wind element comes up, and I suddenly have this idea that I need to clear out the clutter of my inbox. I mean, that's kind of random. That's really kind of that's an inkling, that's a message from my guides. And then I may actually carry that a little bit forward and say, you know, is there more cleansing that I need to do in my life, more clearing or clarity that I might need, and then just kind of ride on that wind for a little while. So anyway, I hope that helps you and gives you kind of an idea of how to get out and just really kind of be present and use and communicate with the earth elements, the elements in general, and everything that you have around you. All right, thanks for listening, and here I'll give you a little pan of what I'm seeing. I'm going to do a meditation, and you do the same. You go outside and get busy. Get busy doing nothing. All right, bye guys. See you next Shaman Short.
You have just listened to the Gaia Wisdom Shaman Shorts with your host, Dakota Walker. Check the link in the show notes and join our private Facebook group and never miss another episode.